Okay. In the last session, we discussed about what does it mean by cloud and the meaning of fusion. So fusion means Oracle acquired many products, all products they fused into single solution, that is fusion applications. So if any company is going to use the fusion applications as a solution, they are going to get the best products for all the areas of solutions what they are looking for. So this is the point we discussed about what does it mean by fusion. When we talk about cloud, so instead of maintaining the own servers, taking the license, DBA team, server maintenance, etc., the client can opt for cloud subscription. If any client is going to opt for client cloud subscription, they will get access to virtual servers from Oracle. Those virtual servers Oracle will keep available in the nearest data centers of the client who is going to use that environment. That's how the user experience would be rich and no maintenance cost and no upfront investment as a capital investment to buy the server infrastructure. We don't need to deploy the separate team to take care of the server. Even we get DBA support from Oracle. And if you are using the Fusion applications with virtual servers, which Oracle is providing, you can include the term called as cloud, or else you can call it as Oracle Fusion applications. It could be any applications. If you talk about Oracle Fusion Finance without including cloud, you can call as like Fusion Finance. Okay, it all about the deployment model. You deploy the applications within your own server, or applications are deployed in the Oracle servers. Based on that, you can name or you can just label that statement as cloud or without cloud. Now, if any client is going to use the Fusion applications as a cloud subscription, what are the different models or options are available for the customers? We have SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. SaaS and PaaS consist of applications. It will have a applications as a part of those solutions. You will get access to application. That's what I written here. You will get access to standard applications. In SaaS, you can do the limited customizations, kind of new reports creation, which we call as customization, and integrations, connecting one system with another system, that to third-party applications, connecting Oracle applications with third-party applications, we call as integration. So custom reports, integrations can be handled in the SaaS by technical consultant. When you talk about PaaS, along with the reports customization and integrations, the new pages, new applications can be built. So that is additional privilege you will have in case of PaaS, but the disadvantage is no auto upgrades Oracle is offering, since you are doing some sort of tailoring to the applications which Oracle is providing. In case of SaaS, you are not going to do any modification to Oracle provided product. So they can take care of auto upgrades. You don't need to put any additional efforts. So that's how it works in between SaaS and PaaS. When you talk about IaaS, IaaS only for the storage space which you can subscribe. Within that IaaS environment, you can install the software or you can use this to maintain the any sort of data. So when you talk about technical, majorly like the customizations includes reports customization, integrations, or it could be like web pages or application. It can be mobile application. It all comes under customizations. This should be handled by technical consultant. So along with this, also we discussed about the landscape of the instances. Okay, instance landscape. So we have a different instances which we use as a part of implementation. The key instances are test instance and production. Based on the purpose, we call the instance as a test or production. If you are going to use the instance for a testing purpose, we call it as a test instance. If you are going to use the instance to record the real business transactions, that we call as production instance. Apart from these two instances, you may have development instance if you are going to do customizations. Yes, we can maintain the separate instance as a development instance to do all the customizations and to test, or else you can use the test instance also for development. But it would be the great idea if you are going to have separate instance for your developments. If you are going to do the few customization, a very few customizations, there won't be any challenge if you are going to use the test instance for a development. But if you are going to do bunch of the customizations, it's always recommended that have a separate environment so that nothing will get disturbed, which is planned within the test instance by functional consultants. Apart from these instances, depending on the client size, they may opt one or multiple test and development instances. The reality, the production would be one and only. This we have a flexibility. We can have two test instances, two development instances, or only one test, one development, or else only one test, no development. So totally client choice how they want to manage that implementation activities and developments. So, but only one production we will have. Along with these instances, Oracle is providing instance called as vision instance. Within this instance, you'll have a sample data. The sample data, what they are providing with the company name called as vision as a sample data. That's the reason we are calling it as a vision. Vision is the company name. So which comes with the sample data. So that instance we use for training and to practice purposes. So this instance Oracle is not providing to the client. Client doesn't require this kind of instances. So client will get access to these fresh instances. In these instances, whatever the purpose we are going to use, these instances will not have any sample data. As a consultant, we have to create everything from the scratch. So this is all about instances. Now, when we are part of any implementation project, the first task is we have to create our own user. Okay, we have to create our own user. So when you create user, you are going to work as consultant. The functionality, application functionality point of view, we need full privileges so that we can work as a consultant. So whatever the user we create in the fresh environment, always we work on the fresh environment. Fresh environment means there won't be any sample data, there won't be any examples in the environment. Everything we have to create from the scratch as a consultant. So in any instance, if you are going to create the user, that user we call as implementation user. Okay, implementation user. Directly we cannot create the users for the business users who are working as a employees in the organization. We cannot create the users. Why, we will come to know after a few classes, but the point is directly you cannot create any users. For the employees who are working in the organization. In the fresh instance, first we'll create the implementation user. For the implementation user, we will give required privileges. So how we can give the privileges? How we can give the permissions to the user in the instance? Okay, we'll give the required privileges. To give the required privileges, what we do is the privileges will give to the user with the concept called as a roles. The role consists of certain privileges, set of privileges. If you assign role to user, that user can have access to the privileges which are part of the respective roles. It means we create user and we assign the roles. What we will do is we'll see how to create the user. We'll create a user called as ADP, INC, or say just ADP, and we'll assign the roles. We have to assign the roles. Say assign roles to user. Assigning roles to user, nothing but we are giving the permissions to the user to perform certain activities in the system. As a consultant, as a finance or SCM, any functional consultant, what rules access we require? If you want to access the environment, if you want to access the instance to work as a consultant, there are two roles which are mandatory for every user. So those are application implementation consultant. Okay, the role is application implementation consultant. What is the purpose of this role? If you assign this role to the user called ADP, what ADP user can do? The ADP user can do the setups. The ADP user can do the setups. The ADP user as a consultant will be in the position to implement payables, receivables, any application. Take for instance, okay, any application the user will be able to implement, nothing but the user will be able to set up, or else you can say the user will be able to configure. So application implementation consultant. Okay, application implementation consultant, that is the role name. That is one of the role Oracle is offering. So if you assign this role to any user, that user will be able to perform the setups, or you can call as a configuration. Along with this role,
I have a question.
please.
If we assign this role, can he set up or configure all the modules that are available? For example, initially
all the modules.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Because the person is going to work as a consultant. Okay. So they will have a full privileges to the environment. The user will be able to implement finance, SCM, HCM, PPM. You take any product family, there will be privilege. Yep. Now, another role is IT security manager. So along with application implementation consultant role, it's mandatory you have to assign IT security manager role for the different purpose. Why we have to assign IT security manager role to user? If you assign IT security manager role to user, that user will be able to, okay, create users. Which user need access to what access, accordingly the roles can be assigned. So with the help of IT security manager, we can create the users. For those users, we can assign the roles. Say we have one user called as X. X is working for payables department. Now create user X and assign payables roles so that X will be able to create invoices and payments. Another user called Y is working for receivables department. Create Y as a user and assign receivables related roles. So for each and every application, we have a separate roles. Those roles will assign to the users based on the task which they are performing in the organization. And apart from that, who is going to work as a consultant? Who is going to work as a consultant? For consultant user, we need to assign these two roles: application implementation consultant and IT security manager. These are the two key and basic roles which we have to provision to the consultants so that they will be able to perform all the required tasks These two roles Oracle is providing. The two roles Oracle is providing. What are the roles Oracle is providing? Those you can call as Oracle delivered roles. We call as Oracle delivered roles. Oracle delivered roles, or you can call as seeded roles. Seeded roles. Seeded roles means the roles which comes along with the product. We can create the new roles. Those roles we call as custom roles. Okay, the roles whatever we create, those we can call as custom roles. So we'll see how to create the custom roles going forward. So as of now, the point what we have to understand is, if any user is going to work as a consultant, that user required access to these two roles: application implementation consultant to perform the setups for any application, IT security manager to create the users and to provision the access to those users. Okay, to provision the access to those users. And seeded roles. Okay, what does it mean by seeded roles? The roles which Oracle is providing, those roles we call as seeded. There are many seeded roles Oracle is providing. We'll come across all the roles, but for now, we are talking about the access to consultant. In that context, we have to understand only these two roles. Okay, these two roles are required for every consultant to start with the system. So this is what we have to understand about user and user privileges when we are working as a consultant. In every instance, there will be one default user called as FA admin. FA admin. In the previous releases, Oracle used to allow everyone to have access to this FA admin. What the guys started doing is they started changing the password to FA admin. In that case, even Oracle will lose the control on that instance. So then they have to again set up something from back end, then only they can access from front end. That sort of challenges Oracle experienced. So Oracle stopped giving access to FA admin user, which is the seeded and a default user in every instance. Okay, this user will be available in every instance as a default user, but they stopped giving access. What Oracle is doing is, if any client is going to subscribe Fusion applications, they'll create one user with any name, and that username they will share with the client. From client, we will get access to that instance with those user credentials. Log into the instance with that user, whatever you get from the client, or it may be from your project manager. The project manager may share the credentials of the instance URL, username, password. With that, connect to the instance and you create your own user. Don't depend on the user, what you are getting as initial user. So create your own user, then you can keep performing your task. If you depend on one user, if everybody is going to use the same user, if somebody is going to reset the password, it will impact. Okay, so that is the reason you no need to depend on the same user. Reality, when we are working as a consultants, so we create a separate users. Finance, we create one user. SCM, we create another user. For HCM, different user. So that within the environment, within the system, mean to say instance, so who is doing what? If something goes wrong, you will be able to track, since usernames are same. If all the team members are using the same usernames, if anything goes wrong, if any setups performed with the wrong data, then it is very difficult to track who did it, because you are using the same user. Say there are 5 members team, the 5 members are using the same user. So who did that mistake, we cannot trace. Within the system, you can track which user did what. But the same user is used by multiple resource in the project, so we cannot track. The best practice is you can have a separate user when you are working on the instance. So these are the few points we have to understand. If it is clear, we can just jump into the instance and we'll see how to create the user, how to assign the roles, whether those roles are going to provision the access to performing the setups and creating user and assigning roles, we will go on to check. Any questions from anyone, please?
Say, for example, if we assign a user the implementation, application implementation consultant role and IT security role, can he create a user with the same level of access?
So you don't need to talk about application implementation consultant based on your requirement. Your point is user will be able to create user or not, right? To create the user, we need
No, what I'm asking is my same level of security, can the same user can assign? That is the question.
Correct. Yeah. I got your question. The answer is if you assign IT security manager role to any user, that user will be able to create the users and that user will be able to assign roles to any user for existing or new users. Full access.
Okay.
Yeah. Application implementation consultant role is not required for that purpose. Application implementation consultant role is required only to perform the setups.
Yeah, not one user implement the application, right? There might be many implementation
Any
consultants.
user, n number of users, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have access to IT security manager role, yes, you can have a complete administration access related to users and user related roles. I'm not talking about specific user, all users.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have a full access. So IT security manager role is similar to system administrator role. Okay, sysadmin role, kind of.
Okay.
Any questions, please? Okay. So no questions.
Lakshman, I have a quick question. This is Lakshmi. Is it a standalone application, this security, complete security, IADM?
Yeah, it is standalone application. It when you talk about this IT security manager, we discussed as a part of applications which we are going to handle.
Mhm.
So if you look at this IDM APM, okay, IDM APM, IDM and OM both are same. So these are the actual applications. On top of it, they build security console. That security console access you will get with IT security manager.
Okay.
Okay, it's just not kind of one application. So APM also will come in the play, but we no need to just look into that.
Thanks, Lakshmi.
Okay, this is a role which will give you the access to security related data like user creation, role assignment. So when you assign this IT security manager role to any user, that user will get access to the environment called as security console. From security console, the user will be able to create the new users. The user will be able to assign the roles. If you assign application implementation consultant role to any user, that user will get access to FSM. The user will get access to FSM. From FSM, the user will be able to perform the setups. What does it mean by FSM? Functional Setup Manager. FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. The Functional Setup Manager will be able to perform the setups. How you can get access to FSM? If you have access to application implementation consultant role, you will be able to access to FSM. So now being a consultant, we need access to FSM and to security console. To get access to security console, we need access to IT security manager role. To get access to FSM, we need access to application implementation consultant role. From FSM, you can do the setups. From the security console, you can perform the security administration. Any questions, please? Fine. Now we'll see how to create the user within the instance. Okay. So let me bring up that instance homepage screen. So this is the instance homepage, and here is the instance URL. This is the URL for the instance. And when you are going to practice, you will get access to the same environment, and we will share one username and password with that login, and create your own user by following the process which we are going to see now. Okay, so follow the same process to create your own user. Now I'm going to log into this instance with one of the existing user. And provide password. And again, this environment, this instance is cloud instance. Instance is managed by Oracle. And this instance you can access from any device, no add-ons, no plugins required. In fact, you can access this instance from your mobile. Okay, from any internet enabled device, you can have access to this instance. So provide username and password and sign in.
The instance you are providing for our practice, is it a public SaaS instance or private SaaS instance?
Public.
So that means every quarterly they update, and whatever data we have or practices we have, will it be wiped out or will it remain?
Correct. All the practice learning instances, very frequently Oracle flush out the data. They'll refresh. Okay. So we have our own techniques how to manage. Even Oracle is going to refresh the instance. We have a different options to keep our setups ready, like where you can load the setups instead of doing through manual process. And we have different alternative approaches also. We'll discuss. Oracle used to refresh these instances weekly once, 2 weeks, or sometimes in between. So that's how it works, because they have to keep this instance all the time healthy, instead of keeping a lot of junk data which is used for practice or training purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. So this is the home page. Okay. We'll understand all these regions, what you see here. Now our primary target is user creation. So to create the user, okay, to create the user, here just hamburger icon you have, which is appearing, that label it is showing as a navigator. Click on that navigator icon. Within this panel, this is the navigator panel. Within the panel, you see one of the section related to tools. Click on tools, the section will get expanded. Under the tools, what you see, these all we call as a different task. Okay, these all are different tasks. One of the tasks what we required is security console. Security console. Now we are able to see security console from the current user. It means IT security manager role is assigned to this user. Okay, the IT security manager role is already assigned to this user. That is the reason from this user we are able to see security console. If you don't see the security console here, it means IT security manager role is not yet assigned to this user. Now click on security console task. It will take us to the page from where we can create our own users. So click on security console. So ignore that message. We'll come across this message Okay, the usage of this message when you create the custom roles, by default, you don't need to play with this message. From here, we can create the users. Okay, from here we can create the users. Okay, so let's repeat the same task. Okay, so you will get access to the same instance. You will get separate username and password. So here I'm going to connect with one of the existing username. Provide password. So after providing username and password, click on navigator icon, or you can call as hamburger icon. It will open one panel and go to tools, click on tools. Under tools, click on security console task. Click on security console task. The task will take you to this page. This is a security console page. Ignore that message. Close that message. That is related to custom roles. When you create the custom roles, we follow that message. For now, not required. Now, here select users. And if you want to find out the current user, whatever we use to log in, yes, from here you can find out. The username what we are using is Fusion U3. The username and display name. User record status is active. Locked? No, this account is not locked. If account is locked, you cannot log into the instance. There is no email ID provided for this user. So this is how you can see the record related to user. Anyway, we are going to create our own user. To create our own user, okay, to create our own user, click on add user account. Click on add user account. The user what we are creating, we call as implementation user. We call as implementation user. This user is not an employee user. This user is not an employee user. What is the difference between implementation user and employee user? We'll discuss, or else very high level. The implementation user will have a full privileges to do all the setups like application implementation, consultant role access, IT security manager role access. When you talk about employee user, employee will belongs to specific department, maybe payables or receivables or assets, expense, etc., etc. Okay, so that is the difference, and we'll see like in terms of system process how to create the employee user also. Now we cannot create, few setups should be ready, then only you can create the employee user. Now only the option is you can create implementation user. So to create implementation user, provide the required fields data. Last name is mandatory, first name is optional, email ID is optional, and provide username, password, and confirm so that our user would be ready. We'll discuss what is a user category also. With the user category only, you can set the password policy, how that username need to be created, the rules and all you can define within the user category. Now we are using default, which Oracle is providing. If you want to modify as per your client requirement, yes, we can modify that. We will go through after some time. Now let's create one user. I want to create the user called as ADP or ADP INC. So provide the name. The last name system is taking as a username. If you give first name also, you see how it will take. It will combine first name and last name and it will create the user. That is how the rule is available in the user category called as default. In the default user category, there is a rule which says user name creation rule, first name plus last name. By combining first name and last name, username should be created. That's how the rule is available here. I don't want to take any first name. So I want to proceed with the last name. Okay, last name is ADP, as it is system is taking the same name as username, and provide email ID. It is not mandatory. As per the user category default, username is not mandatory when you create user. You can go and set username. When you create user, email ID is mandatory. We can set. We will see all those. And the password policy. When you set the password, you have to follow the policy what is defined within the user category called as default. What policy is available as per default? You check here. Place the cursor in the information icon. It says the password policy is very simple. At least 8 characters, one number. No uppercase, lowercase case rule. At least 8 characters and one number. Then you'll be able to set the password by following the password policy. The same you have to confirm. Set password. Done. Say save and close. If you want to assign the roles, which roles we have to assign? Application implementation consultant and IT security manager. If you want to assign these 2 roles, here is the tab. You can click on add roles and you can assign, or else first you create user, later we can come back to the same user to assign the roles. Click on save and close. The user record would be ready. We created a user. Find out the same user. Username we given as ADP. Username is ADP. Click on search. Okay, username is ADP. Click on search. Fine. Now open this user. How we are opening? You can click on the username or click on display name. Click on username or click on display name. If you look at this user record, yes, we didn't provide any email ID and user account is not locked. User status is active. So you can just click on display name or username. You can see with what information we created user. Right, we used user category as a default. Last name is ADP. Username is ADP and last name is ADP. That's how we created. This account is active, not locked, and password expiry date is, here is the date, July 30th. Now you can take some actions on this user account. Here we have a certain actions. Click on the drop down. If you want to log this account, you can lock it. If you lock the account, what will happen? This user will not be in the position to access this instance with the user credentials. Okay, you can lock it. If you want, you can reset the password. So you have set the password for this user. If you want to change the password, you can use the reset password. Just click on reset. Select manually change the password. Here enter the new password. Click on reset password. Okay, done. So this is how you can reset. And other action which you can perform is delete. Ideally, deleting the user is not a best practice, but we have a flexibility here. So you may delete the user. It means that user record will be deleted from this page display. It is not going to delete permanently from the database. With the user, there could be setups related data, or else there may be transactions which are already recorded. So for that reference, for that history purpose, username will remain in the database. But once you delete the user from this page, you will not be in the position to find out the user. That means you cannot use the user once you delete it, but that will be available in the database. So since it is already mapped with some setups or transaction process. And compare user, one user you can compare with another user so that you can understand. So what is the difference between those two users in terms of roles which you are assigned? Or else say you created one user, you assigned 10 roles. The same 10 roles we required for another user. When you are creating the second user, you can select copy. All the roles which are assigned to one user will be copied to another user. So that's how we can perform these different actions. Okay. So these are the points just to understand what sort of actions we can perform. Now we will go ahead and we'll assign the roles to user. Okay, we created user. We'll go and assign these two roles to the user. After assigning the roles, we'll verify this user is able to access to FSM and security console. Fine. To assign the roles to the user, click on username and click on edit. We are going to edit the user record to assign the roles. To assign the roles, click on add role tab. Click on add role tab to assign the roles to this user. Fine. Which role we want to assign? Application implementation consultant. Search for application implementation. Don't type complete role name, just type application implementation. Now, if you look at these roles which are displayed, we have a role called as application implementation consultant. Again, we have application implementation consultant. If you look at these two records, there is slight difference. There is a code, application implementation consultant. For the role, the code is ORA, ASM, application implementation consultant job. For another role, application implementation consultant, the role code is ASM. It is starting with ORA, it is starting with ASM. We have to choose which is starting with ORA. When you are using the instance for our practice, in some instances you may find the two copies, but always you prefer to select which is starting with ORA, which is the primary and seeded one. So which you have to identify. Okay, always choose the role which is starting with ORA if you have a two copies. Along with yes.
Are the two roles same or there is any difference? Because they are coming out of the box, right? And I did not see it is a copy or something. And that's why I'm asking,
Yes.
is there any difference?
These are coming out of the box as per standard functionality, true. But these two you don't see in the client instance, fresh instance. These two you see in the training instances only. In the client instance, you see the first one only. Okay. It is starting with ORA. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah, fine, great. Now, along with this application implementation consultant, we have few roles which are similar, like application implementation manager. Here also we have two copies, and application implementation administrator. Okay, I think there was network issue in between. Fine. So application implementation administrator, two copies we have. Application implementation consultant, two copies. Application implementation manager, two copies. You may have it two copies or three copies. Ultimately, we have to select the copy which has code as ORA. Always we'll have only one. And now what is our plan? We want to assign application implementation consultant role. Along with that, we have an administrator and manager, but you will have a full privileges, okay, full privileges as a part of application implementation consultant role, not in administrator or manager. Always we assign application implementation consultant role. The consultant will have a full privileges when you compare administrator or manager. Administrator will have a limited privileges and manager also will have a limited privileges, but consultant will have all the privileges which are required for the consultants. Okay, So I'm going to select application implementation consultant role, which is starting with ORA prefix within the role code. Now, I'm selecting application implementation consultant role, which is starting with ORA prefix. I'm not going to select the second one. I'm going to ignore. Along with these two, you have two more. These are copied by someone. We'll see how to copy. Since it's a practice instance, yes, you can create multiple copies by using single role. So somebody copied these two roles. That's how you have two more records as a two more records with the same name, but you can see suffix. The role name suffix is copied. One for ORA prefix, other one for ASM prefix. So this all we will learn as a part of role customization. Okay. Now our task is assigning application implementation consultant role to the user, right? Select. Here is the application implementation consultant. And one more we have record, which is a copy of this role. That ignore it. Select first one, which is a seeded one. This is a seeded role. Application implementation consultant, which starts with a ORA. There is no prefix or suffix. Just it's a very plain application implementation consultant. Exact name. Now select this role and click on add role membership. Add role membership is nothing but assign role to user. To assign this role to user, click on add role membership. In the background, you could see application implementation consultant role is added. Application implementation consultant role added. Now we have to assign another role. What is another role we have to assign? IT security manager role. Okay, another role is IT security manager role. Okay, IT security manager role. Let's see how to assign that. Same process. Search for IT security manager. Okay, so IT security manager. Select. Don't select which is starting with FND. Don't select which are copied. Okay, only one role we have to consider, IT security manager, which is starting with ORA prefix in the role code. Select.
Lakshman, can we give percent to in the search, like?
Yeah, you can give, but without giving percentage also you can fetch.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to enter percentage. See here, I'll type, it will fetch. Yep. Percentage is not required. If you are just, if you know some string, exactly some word, then you can give before, after, and you search. In some pages, some fields will support, some fields doesn't support again.
Like
Depends
if I don't know the
what
complete
query you are
string,
searching.
then I can give the percentage and like some characters, right?
No,
Like,
no, see, in the entire application, it doesn't work as it is. See here, I'm going to search security. Okay, I'm going to search with the security. Certain functions, certain search fields will support when you give the percentage, and when you search, certain fields doesn't support anything. Okay, you have to type, it will fetch. Sorry, this is a security manager. And here what you can do is you have a search option. Okay, you have a search option. So here what they are giving direct. In other pages, what you could do is once you click on search, there will be an option called as advanced search.
okay.
Here you can select the search criteria as a starts with or contains, right? Or else equal to. So that's how you have a variety of criteria options there you can use. In some pages, they are just not giving that option. In some pages, your percentage will work. If you put some text string and you search, it will work. That's how they are giving. Okay. Here, ideally, you have to type because these are the kind of fixed roles. Okay. Always you normally search with the role name and you select. When we are performing the setups and all, there you have a different options. And again, when we are creating the transactions or when we are doing some other setup related pages, variety of search options they are given.
Okay.
Here in this role assignment, always you type the role name. That's it. Fine, select and say add role membership. Add role membership is nothing but assign role to user. Done. Now click on done and don't forget to save and close it. Okay, we just assigned, but we not yet saved. So click on save and close. The two roles, whatever we assign to this user, those are saved. Now click on done. Now we will see whether this user, ADP user, is going to get access to FSM and security console. We'll go and check. So log out from this user, log into the instance as an ADP user. ADP, provide password. Now, so we are able to connect to the instance with our new user, whatever we created. We assign two roles. One is application implementation consultant. Other one is IT security manager. First, we'll go and do verify ADP is able to access to FSM environment or not because of application implementation consultant. How to check? So click on username. Click on username. It will open one panel. Within this panel, you could see one of the tasks called as setup and maintenance. So whatever you see within this panel, which enabled hyperlink, these all we call as a task. Okay, these all we call as task. With this, we'll perform something. These all we call as a tasks. Now, one of the task is setup and maintenance. Okay, one of the task is setup and maintenance. Just click on this task, which enabled hyperlink. Now it will take us to FSM, Functional Setup Manager page. Now we are in the FSM page. FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. Okay, where you can do functional setups and the same you can manage. Functional related, not technical. Okay, functional related. If you want to use payables, you have to do few setups. Those we call as functional setups. You are not going to do some programming. So you can do those functional setups and you can manage all those setups with the environment we are calling as functional setup manager. Now we are in the FSM and you want to do the setups for financials. Here from the drop down, select financials. Select financials. If you want to do the general ledger setups, you select general ledger. Those setups you can see here. These are the setups you can do for general ledger. These are the key setups. If you want to see all the setups for general ledger, you select all tasks. So everything we treat as a task. Okay, whatever you perform in the system, the actions, all we call as a task. If you want to do the setups for payables, select payables, functional area. Here we are calling as a functional area. Select payables functional area. And these are the minimum basic setups. If you want to do all the setups, select all tasks. Okay, select all tasks. And if you want to do cash management related setups, select cash management functional area. And here you could see required tasks and select all the tasks. You'll be able to see the different tasks which are part of cash management. The same way, expense application, fixed assets, this all you can select. It will display the required tasks and you will be able to switch to all the tasks. You will be able to perform these tasks. But reality, all are not mandatory. Few are mandatory. Few setups we have to perform based on the use cases, based on the business requirement, based on the concepts or functionalities or features which we are going to implement for the client. Okay, but this is a page from where you can access any setup related task. Any setup related task you can access from here. So that's what we have to understand about FSM. Anyway, now just we are trying to get introduced to FSM, how you can access the FSM page and from where you can do the setups. We'll initiate the setups very soon. Okay, how we are navigating? Click on username. Click on the task called as setup and maintenance, which you could see in the panel. Once you click on the username, now we landed on the page called as FSM. This is FSM landing page. Here you have to select, you want to perform the setups for which applications, finance applications or procurement, etc. You have to select. I'm selecting financials product family. So within the financials, you want to do the setups for which application? I want to do the setups for receivables application. I'll select receivables. Receivables related key task you can see here. Okay, these are the very key tasks. If you want to see all the tasks, select all the tasks. You will be able to see all here. So this is how you will be able to navigate to see FSM, and within the FSM you want to perform the setup for which application. Accordingly you select the functional area that will list out all the tasks which you have to perform to implement specific application, or else the key tasks which you have to perform to start with that application. So this is a story of FSM, very high level. Going forward, we'll discuss few additional points. So because of application implementation consultant role, we are able to access to FSM. Within the FSM, you can perform the setups. You can select specific application related functional area, and you will be able to see the relevant tasks. Now, we'll go and check this user is able to access to security console. Okay, we'll go and check whether this user is able to access to security console. To check, click on navigator, click on this hamburger icon, and it will open the panel. Within this panel, go to tools region, expand it. Okay, under tools, we have variety of the tasks. Now what task we have to select? Security console. When you see the task called as security console under tools, it means this user got access to IT security manager role. If this user doesn't have access to IT security manager role, we cannot see security console task under tools. So this is what we have to understand. This user got access to security console, that is there on the screen. Now click on the same, it will navigate us to the relevant page. From the page, this user will be able to create new users. Ignore that message, go to users, and if you want to test, okay,
What will happen if we click OK?
nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Just it is a hint, it is a message. What it is saying is, hey, you have to run so and so program, you have to run so and so job to keep everything in the sync. That's what it is saying. When we have to keep everything in the sync, the message, whatever it is referring on program name. Import users and application data security. The program you have to run when you create the custom roles, when you create the new roles, apart from what Oracle is providing, that you can do. You may say okay or no, it is just message to us. You have to take the separate action, okay, based on that message.
It will not run automatically by clicking
No,
OK.
no.
We need to go and manually run
Yes,
it.
you
So
have
that
to navigate.
will that backup will be there available? For example, Oracle refreshed and we have customizations on the security side or whatever it might be. And if we run that, to run that, from where we need to pick up whatever
We'll do
was
that,
there.
we'll do that. When we do that, we'll do that. Because we are going
Okay.
to do the role customization, there it will come in the play.
Okay.
We'll see that, we'll see that. Everything we are going to see and understand, we are going to do in the system. Okay, so now we are not dealing with the custom roles, right? We are dealing with the serial roles, which Oracle is providing. That is the reason we are ignoring that message. Going forward, we'll create the custom roles. When you create the custom roles, those won't sync simply like standard roles. We have to submit that program. It will populate the data in the LDAP, etc. We'll discuss all those relevant points. Yep.
Lakshman, on this
Okay.
page, what will be the records? Like, how can we find it, or will there be any documentation?
What records?
The underlying records on this page, like to know.
Yeah,
The
we
tables,
can use the help.
yeah.
We can use the help. Here is the help. You can click on help. It will take Oracle help portal. Okay, from there you can understand any information you want to know. Okay. We'll just come across those points also. Now, just since we are focusing on something, I'm not touch basing all those. Okay, here you can hide the help and you can see here application related or release, etc. We'll see all those kind of series. Yep. Fine. Now, so we are able to access to security console from this user, since this user got access to IT security manager role. Okay, so select user and click on add user account, and you can create, say, XYZ. Already XYZ is there, XYZ INC, and you can set the password. Save and close, or else directly you can assign the roles from here. Click on add role. So IT security manager. Just for testing any one of the role you assign, so save and close. Done. So from ADP, we are able to create new users and we are able to assign the roles. So that is the purpose why we have to assign these two mandatory roles to the user. IT security manager to take care of your security administration part, application implementation consultant role to perform the system related configuration to keep application ready to use. So that's all about the user story, which we have to understand. The user, what we created, that we call as implementation user. So going forward, we will see how to create the employee user, how the employee user is different from implementation user. We will discuss those points the moment we create employee user. So that's all for today. In tomorrow's session, okay, in tomorrow's session, we'll focus on more FSM and we'll see how to create the project, how to perform the setups, how system will create the task list, how we can start recording the transactions, what are the prerequisites, we have to keep ready to kick off with the transaction process. Those points we'll discuss and we will work in instance. Okay, in the tomorrow session also we are going to work on the instance. We'll discuss few points related to FSM, then we will start working on the instance and we'll do the required configuration and we'll progress by following the series of steps. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, please stay back, we'll discuss. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow same time. Thank you all.
Lakshman, will there be any documentation over the net so that we can check like the security part and just
Oracle is providing very big documents, but it is not recommended to read and explore. You can understand what really required from our classes. Okay, after classes, anything else you want to explore, yes, you can go with the Oracle provided user guides and all. But it's a vast. You have to read now. Whatever we discussed, to understand these 2 points, we have to read a lot. Yeah. So what you need when you are going to work as a finance consultant, what you need, definitely you are going to get that. Okay, so that you get it. Apart from that, anything you want to learn, you can depend on the Oracle documents. Okay, those are the open source. You can go and search in the Google Oracle Fusion finance application or any application related, or else the security console or Oracle IDM, etc., etc. You can search. There are big size documents in hundreds of pages. Okay. So that you may use for reference. Somewhere some dots are not connecting. Yes, you can just jump into that and you can verify. Apart from that, the very beautiful help repository also Oracle is providing, online repository. From there also you can access the relevant data. We'll come across. Okay.
There I can find the
walk
records,
through
right?
those
Like what are the
data points.
underlying, like,
Sorry?
can I find the underlying records on the pages, like in the documents?
Yes. You can just relevant section wise, you can see the information. Anyway, in tomorrow's session, I'll just walk through how you can access the help repository so that you can be aware of it.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Fine. Yeah,
Hi,
please.
Lakshman.
Yeah.
Our duration is 3 months, right? And do we go with the same pace or initially slow, and when we are coming into the
No. Same. I mean, same speed. Like we don't go very slow and we don't go very fast. We'll go neutral. So because it's not like one-on-one, right? If you are able to understand, I can align accordingly. No, it is like a team, right? So we go with the required speed. Okay, required speed means
No, this phase is fine. I don't want when we are coming into the modules wise, just running, just reading, running, and so on, and you do practice kind of.
Correct, sir.
But this phase is fine. Any new user or novice person can understand. I just want to make sure that this is the phase the entire training program will go.
Yeah, we'll go with the same, because see, everything is going to new for us, but in the initial classes 100% new. Going forward, few things, okay, already you know, so accordingly easily you can understand, but I'm not going to increase the speed of kind of content delivery or discussion. Yeah. We'll go as per our comfort. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Lakshman.
Okay,
This is
thank you.
Mahesh.
Yeah, please.
We gone through seeded roles. What about customer roles? Customs role.
Custom roles we will create. We will have a separate
create
session on
some-
that. Now we
okay,
are at
next
the
section.
beginning, right? So we'll
Yeah.
create. Once we start, once we are part of one of the payables application, there I plan to cover. By the time you
Okay.
well introduced to the roles, how it works, even you will be introduced to the application specific roles. Now these two roles are not application specific. You'll have a separate
Okay.
roles for GL, you will have a separate roles for AP, you'll have a separate roles for AR.
Okay.
So that's how we'll have
Okay.
a separate roles for each and every application. Once we get introduced to those roles, it would become pretty easy for us to understand how to deal with the custom roles.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So those who paid, when we get access to the instance,
Yes, you'll get access to the instance once you subscribe it. You can just keep in touch with our team. I would suggest, like, you, if you are really serious about this program and all, quickly you can go ahead and you will get instance access. Then you will be able to sync with the sessions which we are going to just come up with from tomorrow or whatever today. So better you can just take the decision. If you are planning to do this course, instead of waiting, you can kickstart. If you are not planning to do this, just if you want to attend 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions, that's okay. We don't have an issue. Yep. So just keep in touch with our team. They can help you on that. If no more questions, we can wrap up for today. We'll connect tomorrow. Great. Seems to no questions. Thank you all. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.